You're lying in a brain scanner. The machine hums around your skull. A tech leans toward the mic and says the readings look wrong. Something must be off. But nothing is off. The brain on screen is just doing something no one expected. That moment happened in a real lab. Monks who had spent years in deep focus sat inside an MRI. Their brainwaves spiked so hard the software flagged an error. Not a glitch. Not bad data. Their minds had changed the organ itself. And here's what most people miss. This isn't just a party trick for monks on a mountain. The same kind of change can start in your brain, in weeks, with nothing but silence and a chair. By the end of this, you'll know what shifts inside your skull when you sit still on purpose. And more than that, you'll know why it matters for how you age, how you handle fear, and how sharp your mind stays over time. Let's start with a belief most people carry without thinking. Your brain stops changing after you grow up. You get the brain you get, and then it slowly wears down. That idea ruled science for most of the last century. And it's wrong. Your brain at 40 is not a frozen block. It's clay. Wet, soft, ready to be pressed into new shapes. Every skill you learn, every habit you build leaves a mark on that clay. New branches sprout between nerve cells. Old paths get pruned away. The brain reshapes itself based on what you ask it to do. It never fully stops. Now, most of that rewiring happens by accident. You pick up a phone habit, and your brain builds circuits for scrolling. You drive the same route for years, and that path gets etched deep. But what if you could aim that process? What if you could choose which parts of your brain grow stronger? That's what happens when you meditate. Not by magic, not by wishing, by doing something so simple it almost sounds like a joke. You sit, you breathe, you notice when your mind drifts, and you bring it back. But that small act of bringing your focus back, it's like a rep at the gym. Each time you do it, you send a signal to a specific part of your brain, the part right behind your forehead, the region that handles choices, plans, and self-control. And that region responds the way muscle responds to weight. It grows. Here's where it gets concrete. Take a group of people who have never meditated. Put them through 8 weeks of daily practice. Then scan their brains. What shows up is not subtle. The gray matter in their decision-making region got thicker. That sounds small, but in brain terms, it's like adding a new lane to a highway. More tissue means more cells. More cells means faster, cleaner signals. And it's not just one study finding this. People who've practiced for decades show even thicker layers in the front of the brain compared to people the same age who never practiced. The brain didn't just change. It kept the change. But here's what nobody tells you. Growth in one spot is only half the story. The real power shows up in how different parts of the brain start talking to each other. Think of your brain like a city at night. Each neighborhood has its own lights, its own rhythm. In a beginner's brain, those neighborhoods are loosely linked. Signals move, but slowly, through narrow roads. Now picture those roads getting wider, streetlights going brighter, traffic flowing faster between distant parts of town. That's what brain scans show after just 1 week of focused practice. The roads between the attention center and the part of the brain that flags what matters got roughly a third wider in terms of signal strength. 1 week of sitting quietly and bringing the mind back to center. Over the next few weeks, other roads light up too. The link between the front of the brain and the areas that drive gets stronger. These aren't vague feelings. They show up as measured jumps in how much these regions fire in sync. So the brain grows in key spots, and the wiring between those spots gets faster. But what about the part of the brain that keeps you up at night? The part that makes your chest tight before a hard talk? The alarm system. Deep inside your brain sits a small cluster of cells shaped like an almond. Its job is to detect threats, a loud noise, an angry face, a deadline you forgot. When this alarm fires, your body floods with stress chemicals. Your heart rate jumps. Your palms sweat. You've felt it. Everyone has. The problem is, this alarm doesn't know the difference between a tiger and a rude email. It fires the same way for both, and when it fires too often, it wears you down. Worry builds. Sleep breaks apart. Focus cracks. Now imagine you could reach into your brain and turn that alarm's volume down. Not off. You still want it when a real threat shows up, but down. From a blaring siren to a quiet tap on the shoulder. That's exactly what brain scans show in people who practice sitting with their breath. After 8 weeks, the alarm region's response to stressful images dropped by roughly a fifth. When researchers put them through social stress, like speaking in front of harsh judges, their alarm centers stayed quieter than those of people who hadn't trained. This isn't about pretending stress doesn't exist. It's about building a buffer, a pause between the trigger and the reaction. That pause changes how you respond to your kids, how you handle a bad day at work, how you sleep. But wait, if this works so well, why doesn't it work for everyone? And why do some people meditate for years and still feel anxious? This is where honesty matters. The studies that show these changes use averages. Some people changed a lot, others barely changed at all. Your genes, your sleep, your diet, your baseline stress level. They all shape how fast your brain responds to this kind of training. And there's a deeper concern. Critics point out that people who stick with long-term practice might have been calmer to begin with. Maybe the monks didn't build calm brains. Maybe calm brains are what drew them to the practice. It's a fair point. That's why the strongest proof comes from studies where total beginners are randomly assigned to either meditate or do something else. And even in those strict setups, the beginners who meditated showed real brain changes the others didn't. Still, the honest answer is that meditation is not a magic pill. It's a training tool. And like any tool, results vary. So what about the brain's inner wiring? Not just how regions talk to each other, but the physical cables that carry the signals? Inside your brain, long fibers stretch between distant areas. These fibers are wrapped in a fatty coating that acts like padding on a wire. Better padding means faster signals, cleaner data, less noise. After 2 months of focused practice, scans showed that the padding on key fiber bundles improved sharply. Signals that once crawled now raced. Think of it like replacing a dirt path with a paved road. Same distance, but the travel time drops hard. This matters because speed isn't just about thinking fast. It's about thinking clearly. When signals arrive at the right time, your brain can handle complex tasks. Planning, remembering, holding 2 ideas at once and comparing them. All of that depends on clean, fast wiring. Now let's go deeper. Past the brain, past the signals, down to the smallest unit of your body, your cells. At the end of every strand of your DNA sit tiny caps. Think of them like the plastic tips on a shoelace. They protect the strand from fraying. Every time a cell divides, those caps get a little shorter. When they get too short, the cell stops working well. That's one of the core engines of aging. There's an enzyme in your body that rebuilds those caps. And in people who finished an 8-week program, the activity of that enzyme jumped by nearly half compared to a control group. Let that sink in. A behavior, not a drug, not a surgery, boosted a repair system at the deepest level of your cells. Does that mean meditation makes you live longer? We can't say that yet, but it means that what you do with your mind reaches all the way down to the machinery of your cells. Mind and body aren't 2 things. They're one system, and you can tune it. There's one more finding that brings us full circle. Back to those monks in the scanner, the ones whose readings looked like errors. When they practiced a specific form of focus centered on goodwill, wishing well for others, their brain waves in a high-speed range surged far beyond anything seen in normal subjects. The machine wasn't broken. Their brains were firing a pattern so intense it had barely been seen before. This tells us something important. Not all meditation is the same. Sitting and watching your breath builds one set of skills. Actively sending goodwill toward others builds a different set. And the brain responds differently to each. Which brings us to the most useful question. What does this mean for you right now, this week? You don't need a cave. You don't need a robe. You don't need an app, though some help. You need a quiet place and 15 minutes, and the will to sit with your own mind, even when it wanders. Especially when it wanders. Because the wander and the return, that's the rep. That's the thing that builds the brain. And here's what changes if you actually do it. In the short run, stress drops. The chemicals your body pumps when you're tense flatten out. Focus sharpens. You notice more. React less. Over a few years, your default mental patterns start to shift. The brain networks that fire when you're lost in thought, worrying about the past, stressing about the future, they quiet down. You spend less time in mental loops. The regions that handle emotion get thicker, and markers of swelling in the body fall. Over many years, the typical thinning of the brain that comes with age slows down. In some cases, it reverses. Long-term practitioners keep brain thickness that matches people much younger than them. If any of this shifted how you think about what the mind can do, there's a lot more at this depth on the channel. Drop a comment and tell me which part hit you the hardest. I read every one. A tech leans toward the mic and says the readings must be wrong. But the readings are right. The brain changed itself. And it started with a single breath.